James Lancaster believed in standards, rules, order. At 48, he'd built Lancaster Hotels from a single property into a $500 million empire. He didn't do it by being nice. It was a Thursday evening in November. Morton's Steakhouse, Boston. His usual table, the one with the view but also the privacy. Across from him sat two investors from Dubai. They were considering a $200 million partnership. Everything needed to be perfect. Their server approached. Mid-40s, tired eyes, but she carried herself with quiet dignity. The kind of strength that comes from surviving things that should have broken you. "Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Morton's. Can I start you with something to drink?" James didn't look up from his phone. "Pellegrino, room temperature, and we need menus." "Of course. I'll be right back." She returned with waters and menus, setting them down carefully. "Are you ready to order? Or would you like a few more minutes?" James glanced at his watch. "We're on a schedule. I'll have the porterhouse. Rare." The waitress hesitated. "I apologize, sir, but the porterhouse takes approximately 40 minutes to prepare. If you're on a timeline, might I suggest—" "I didn't ask how long it takes." James's voice was cold. "I said what I want." "Of course, sir. I was only trying to help." "Help?" James looked up for the first time, his eyes hard. "You want to help? Then take the order and stop wasting my time." The two investors shifted uncomfortably. "Yes, sir." She wrote it down, her hand steady despite the tension. 5 minutes later, she returned. "Excuse me, sir. I spoke with the kitchen, and they wanted me to confirm. Why are you back here?" James's voice carried across the restaurant now. People at nearby tables turned. "I didn't call you over." "Sir, I was just confirming your order." "I don't need confirmation. I need you to do your job without bothering me every 5 minutes." One of the investors cleared his throat. "James, she's just being thorough." James ignored him. He snapped his fingers at the restaurant manager hurrying over. "This waitress keeps interrupting my business meeting. I want someone else." The manager, a thin man in his 50s, looked pained. "Mr. Lancaster, I apologize. Rachel is actually our senior server. She was just—" "I don't care what she is. Get her away from my table. Better yet, fire her." The restaurant went quiet. Rachel stood very still. "Sir, I'm sorry if I—" "Fire her," James repeated, louder now. "Or I walk out, and I make sure every person I know never eats here again." "Your choice." The manager's face went pale. "Mr. Lancaster, please, if we could just—" "Now." The manager looked at Rachel. She looked back at him. They both knew James Lancaster could destroy this restaurant with a few phone calls. Rachel untied her apron slowly. Her hands were shaking now, but her voice was steady. "It's okay, Tony. I understand." She set the apron on an empty table. Then she turned back to James. "I just want you to know something, sir." She pulled a small card from her pocket. Homemade, decorated with markers and stickers. "My kids made this for me this morning. Today's my 45th birthday. They told me to have a good day at work. They're proud of me for working 3 jobs to support them." She set the card on the table in front of James. "Thank you for making sure I didn't have a good day." Rachel walked toward the kitchen, head high. James looked at the card. On the front, in a child's handwriting, "World's Best Mom." He pushed it away. "Can we get a new server now?" But when he looked up, one of the investors was standing, gathering his things. "Where are you going?" "I've seen enough, Mr. Lancaster. You just destroyed that woman's birthday because she was trying to do her job well. That tells me everything I need to know about doing business with you. You're walking away from $200 million because of a waitress?" "No, I'm walking away because of who you are." The investor left. James sat there, his remaining guest looking uncomfortable. Across the restaurant, someone had their phone out, recording. By the time James left Morton's 30 minutes later, the video had already been posted. It would have 5 million views by morning. And by afternoon, James Lancaster would discover who that waitress really was. His sister, the one he'd abandoned 20 years ago, the one whose birthday he'd just destroyed. Friday morning, 6:47 a.m. James woke to his phone vibrating non-stop. 247 missed calls, 1,832 text messages. His email inbox was exploding. He opened Twitter, #1 worldwide. The video, that damn video. Someone had filmed the entire encounter, posted it with the caption, "Billionaire fires waitress on her birthday for doing her job. This is America." 15 million views, 200,000 retweets, 50,000 comments. James scrolled through them. Absolute monster. I hope he loses everything. Someone find out who this waitress is. Let's start a GoFundMe. # boycott Lancaster hotels. His phone rang. His PR director, Sarah Chen. "James, we have a situation." "I see it." "No, you don't." In the last hour, we've had 847 hotel cancellations. The Marriott partnership is reconsidering. 3 major investors want emergency calls. The Boston Herald is running a front-page story. And, she paused. Someone identified the waitress. James's stomach dropped. "What do you mean, identified?" "Her name is Rachel Sullivan. Single mother, 2 kids, works 3 jobs, and James." Another pause. "Her maiden name was Lancaster." The phone slipped from James's hand. Number. It couldn't be. But even as he denied it, he knew. That face, those eyes, the way she'd stood so straight despite everything. Rachel, his little sister. 20 years ago, she'd called him. Crying. Her husband had left her, drained their bank accounts, filed for divorce, disappeared. She had 2 infants, no money, about to lose her house. "James, please. I just need 50,000, just a loan. I'll pay you back, I promise. I'm drowning here." He'd just closed his first major deal, $10 million profit. He could have helped easily. "Rachel, I can't enable your bad decisions. You married a deadbeat. You need to handle your own problems." "James, I'm your sister. And you're an adult. Figure it out. Don't call me again asking for money." He'd hung up, changed his number, moved cities, built his empire, convinced himself he'd done the right thing, the tough love thing. Now, 20 years later, he'd just fired her, on her birthday, for doing her job. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "I know who you are now, James. I know what you did 20 years ago. We need to talk. Sal's Diner, South Boston, 2 p.m. today. Don't be late." Rachel James looked at himself in the bathroom mirror. His reflection looked back. Expensive suit, perfect hair, cold eyes. He barely recognized himself. His phone rang again. The board chairman. "James, emergency meeting. We're voting on your future with the company. Be here by noon." "I can't. I have something. This isn't optional. Noon, or we vote without you." James looked at his phone. The board meeting at noon, Rachel at 2 p.m. For the first time in 20 years, James Lancaster had to choose between his career and his family. This time, he made a different choice. He texted the chairman, "Vote without me," and drove to South Boston. Sal's Diner wasn't the kind of place James usually went. Cracked vinyl booths, coffee in thick ceramic mugs, a laminated menu with prices that seemed frozen in 1995. Rachel sat in the back corner booth. She wasn't in her server uniform, just jeans and a sweater. She looked exhausted. She looked older than 45. She looked like someone who'd survived things that should have killed her. James slid into the booth across from her. Neither spoke for a long moment. "I didn't know it was you," James finally said. Rachel laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. "Would it have mattered if you did?" "Yes." But even as he said it, he wasn't sure it was true. Liar. James flinched. Rachel pulled something from her purse, a small, tarnished bracelet. "Remember this?" He did. He'd saved 6 months of allowance to buy it for her 13th birthday. Had it engraved, "Best sister ever." I wore this every day until I lost everything, Rachel said. Couldn't bring myself to sell it even when I needed money for food. Stupid, right? Rachel, do you know what happened after you hung up on me? She didn't wait for an answer. I lost the house, lost my car, lived in a shelter for 8 months with 2 babies, 1 year old and 6 months old. James felt sick. I'd show up at temp agencies at 5 a.m. hoping to get day labor, cleaning offices, stocking shelves, whatever paid cash. I'd bring the kids with me, let them sleep in break rooms while I worked. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. Silence. I rebuilt, Rachel continued. Slowly. Got a studio apartment, then a 1-bedroom, put the kids in school, worked my way up to decent-paying jobs, never asked anyone for help again, especially not you. Then why did you want to meet? Rachel looked at him for a long time. Because I need to understand something. I need you to explain to me how the brother who saved 6 months of allowance to buy me a bracelet turned into the man who would destroy a stranger's birthday for sport. I didn't know it was your birthday, but you didn't care whose birthday it was. Her voice cracked. That's the point, James. You saw a working-class woman trying to do her job, and you felt nothing. No empathy, no kindness, just contempt. James had no answer. When did you become this? Rachel asked quietly. When did you become someone who measures human worth by how much money they have? I built an empire. You built a prison. Rachel pulled out her phone, showed him the viral video. Look at yourself. Really look. Is that who you wanted to become? James watched himself in the video, saw his face twisted with arrogance and disdain, saw Rachel, his sister, trying so hard to maintain her dignity while he destroyed it. He looked like a monster. What do you want from me? He whispered. Nothing. Rachel stood up. I don't want your money. Don't want your apology. I came here because I needed to look you in the eye and tell you something. What? I survived without you. I raised 2 incredible kids. Without your help, without your money, without you. My son Tyler is 19, studying engineering. My daughter Emma is 17, wants to be a teacher. They're kind, they're compassionate, they're everything you're not. She put money on the table for her coffee. I didn't need you then, and I don't need you now. But I want you to know something. When you hung up on me 20 years ago, you didn't just abandon me. You abandoned the only person in your family who actually loved you for who you were, not what you had. Rachel turned to leave. Rachel, wait. She stopped but didn't turn around. I was wrong. 20 years ago, last night, all of it. I was wrong. I know you were. Can I fix this? Rachel looked back at him. Her eyes were wet, but no tears fell. I don't know, James. Can you? And she walked out of the diner. James sat in that booth for 2 hours. His phone buzzed constantly. The board had voted. He was out. Lancaster Hotel's stock was plummeting. Major partners were pulling out. His empire was crumbling. And for the first time in 20 years, James didn't care about any of it, because he finally understood what he'd lost. 1 week later, James Lancaster no longer had an office at Lancaster Hotels. The board had installed new leadership. His stock in the company had been diluted. His net worth had dropped from $500 million to $80 million. Still wealthy by any standard, but not what he was. His wife had moved to their vacation home in the Hamptons. I need space, she'd said. They both knew what that meant. James sat in his penthouse, 3,500 square feet overlooking Boston Harbor, worth $8 million, and felt completely alone. His phone had stopped ringing. Fair-weather friends had disappeared. Business associates didn't return calls. He was toxic now, the billionaire who destroyed a waitress's birthday. There was a knock at his door. He opened it to find a teenager standing there, 19, maybe 20, tall, with Rachel's eyes. Are you James Lancaster? Yes. I'm Tyler Sullivan, Rachel's son, your nephew. James's breath caught. My mom doesn't know I'm here. She'd kill me if she knew. But I saw the video, I read the news, and I did some digging. Tyler, did you really abandon my mom 20 years ago when she asked for help? James wanted to lie, to make excuses, to defend himself. Instead, he said, "Yes." Tyler nodded slowly. "And last week you fired her on her birthday for trying to do her job?" "Yes." "Why?" "I don't know. Arrogance, cruelty, because I could." Tyler was quiet for a long moment. "You're the reason we lived in a shelter. You're the reason my mom worked 3 jobs. You're the reason she cried herself to sleep thinking she'd failed us." Each word was a knife. "Yes. She didn't fail us," Tyler said fiercely. "She's the strongest person I know. She gave us everything, and she did it without you." "I know. So why are you still sitting here in your mansion feeling sorry for yourself?" James looked up, surprised. Tyler pulled a piece of paper from his pocket. "An address. This is where we live. Sunday dinner is at 6 p.m. Mom makes pot roast. She's been making it every Sunday for 10 years because it's the one meal we could always afford." "Tyler, I'm not inviting you for her. I'm inviting you for me and for Emma. Because maybe we deserve to know our uncle. Maybe we deserve to decide for ourselves whether you're worth knowing." "Does Rachel know you're doing this?" "No. And she's going to be furious. But Emma and I talked about it. We're tired of only knowing you as the villain in Mom's story. We want to meet you as a person and make our own judgment." Tyler turned to leave, then stopped. "By the way, if you come, bring dessert. Nothing expensive, nothing that shows off, something normal. Can you do normal?" "I can try." "Good. Because if you show up with some fancy bakery thing from Beacon Hill, Emma will throw you out. She doesn't trust people who use money to impress." "What should I bring?" "Figure it out. That's part of the test." Tyler left. James stood in his empty penthouse for a long time. Then he grabbed his keys and drove to a regular grocery store, the first time he'd been in one in years. He bought ingredients: flour, sugar, apples, cinnamon. And on Saturday afternoon, in his state-of-the-art kitchen that he'd never actually used, James Lancaster baked an apple pie from scratch. It wasn't perfect. The crust was uneven. The filling bubbled over. But he made it himself. And on Sunday at 5:45 p.m., James stood outside a modest apartment building in South Boston, holding a slightly lopsided homemade apple pie, more nervous than he'd ever been closing a business deal. He knocked. The door opened. Rachel stood there, frozen. "Hi," James said quietly. "Tyler invited me. I can leave if you want." Rachel stared at him, then at the pie, then back at him. Did you make that?" "It's probably terrible. I've never baked before." Behind her, Tyler appeared. "Uncle James, you came." A girl, Emma, peeked around. "Oh my God, is that actually a homemade pie? Mom, look, it's lumpy." "I know," James said. "I'm sorry." "No," Emma grinned. "It's perfect." "Mom, he actually did normal." Rachel's eyes were wet. She didn't speak for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. "Come in. Dinner's almost ready, and you're setting the table." "Okay," James said, and walked into his sister's home for the first time in 20 years. 6 months later, James Lancaster no longer lived in a penthouse. He'd sold it, used most of the money to set up a trust fund for Tyler's and Emma's education. The rest went to a community center in South Boston that offered job training and childcare for working parents. He lived in a 2-bedroom condo now, walking distance from Rachel's apartment. He worked as a consultant, made decent money, enough to live comfortably, not enough to be a billionaire. He didn't miss it. Every Sunday, he had dinner at Rachel's. He set the table, did the dishes, listened to Tyler talk about his engineering classes, helped Emma practice for her college interviews. It had taken 3 months before Rachel could look at him without pain in her eyes. 6 months before she'd laughed at one of his jokes. Progress was slow. Trust had to be rebuilt, not bought. On this particular Sunday, James arrived at 5:45 p.m. with another pie. His crusts were better now. Still not perfect, but better. Emma answered the door. "Uncle James." Mom's finishing the roast. Tyler's setting up a movie for after dinner. "What are we watching?" "Something old that Tyler found. A documentary about this guy who lost everything and had to rebuild his life. Very on brand for you." James smiled. Emma had his mother's sharp wit. Rachel came out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. "You're early again." "Traffic was light." "Traffic is never light. You just leave early because you're afraid we'll start without you." She wasn't wrong. Dinner was loud, chaotic, full of talking over each other and inside jokes James was slowly learning. Tyler made fun of James's attempt to use TikTok. Emma told a story about her terrible first day at her part-time job. Rachel laughed until she cried. James mostly stayed quiet, watched, absorbed. This was what he'd given up for boardrooms and quarterly earnings. After dinner, as James helped Rachel with dishes, she spoke quietly. "Tyler got his acceptance letter, full scholarship to MIT, engineering program." "Rachel, that's incredible." "He worked so hard," never complained, never asked why things were harder for him than for other kids. "He's a good kid." "They both are. That's all you." Rachel was quiet for a moment. "Not all me." "He asked if you'd come to his graduation." James's throat tightened. "He did?" "He said something about wanting the full family there, including the uncle who's trying really hard to not be terrible anymore." "That's the nicest thing anyone said about me in years." "Don't let it go to your head." They washed dishes in comfortable silence. "James," Rachel said eventually. "Yeah? I'm still angry. About the 20 years, about the birthday, all of it. I know. But I'm also, I don't know. Glad you're here now. Better late than never, I guess." "I don't deserve that." "No," Rachel agreed. "You don't. But that's the thing about family, isn't it? It's not about deserving. It's about showing up. And you're showing up." As James drove home that night to his regular condo with regular furniture, he thought about a question Rachel had asked him months ago. Was your empire worth it? Back then, he hadn't known how to answer. Now he did. Number. It wasn't worth it. But maybe, just maybe, he could become someone who was. Someone who baked imperfect pies. Someone who set tables and did dishes. Someone who showed up. And for James Lancaster, that was more than he'd ever had before. It was enough. The end.